Welcome to St Vincent's Institute, the epicentre of where groundbreaking medical research is taking place in the name of Maddie Riewoldt's vision.
Come inside with us and see what your generous donations are doing in helping us find a cure for bone marrow failure syndromes.
Professor Ritchie, please remind us what is bone marrow failure.
Bone marrow failure is when the bone marrow just stops working. Bone marrow is really important for making red blood cells, white blood cells and other important cells in the blood. And when the bone marrow stops working, those cells go away, so people get really sick.
How close are we to actually discovering a cure though?
Some patients are cured by existing therapies already, but really tragically many patients are not. And when those patients don't respond to the existing therapies we have, we're really at a loss to know what to do with those patients next.
Sometimes we can try medications, but more often than not for children they don't work. Which leaves us in the predicament of only being able to offer them a bone marrow transplant. And as you know, bone marrow transplants, they also don't always work, but they're a highly toxic therapy.
Medical research, much like footy, is a team sport. It requires a really good team. It requires commitment, it requires skill. And if you have enough inside 50s, at some point you're going to kick a goal. And we think that with the help of Maddie's vision, they have actually brought us inside 50 for the first time.
So the generous donations that the football community in particular have made, what has that enabled researchers to go and do?
The drive, determination and focus that Maddie's vision has provided has really allowed young researchers to really focus their innovative research specifically on bone marrow failure.
Well, Wayne, what has been the biggest breakthrough in the research so far?
We've been able to copy how the body does an essential process that prevents bone marrow failure. But we've been able to copy this process in a test tube. And what we've even been able to do more recently is to scale this up using robotics. So rather than having one person sitting there and doing it by themselves, we're able to have a robot going constantly, which is far more accurate than a person.
What's on top of your wish list for bone marrow failure patients?
The biggest thing we need in this area is research. The most frustrating thing as a clinician and also a scientist is the fact that all we have often is this high dose procedure that is incredibly toxic. New research will hopefully afford us the ability to have less toxic treatments and ultimately lifelong survival.
What we are working towards is that one day we'll be able to say to someone who has a bone marrow failure syndrome, here, take one of these each morning and you'll be fine.
And that's what makes Maddie's Vision's funding of research so important. They can be reassured that Maddie's Vision puts their money directly into research towards a cure.
Well, we've come a long way, mate. How proud are you to be sitting in a research facility like this with all these amazing minds funded by Maddie's vision?
Well, I think it's extremely humbling, just going through and looking at the machines and looking through the processes that, that these people are going through to help us and help people that were in the situation that Maddie found herself in.
She would be obviously very humbled. She'd be so grateful to everyone for the support that Maddie's vision has received.
Maddie's match that's coming up on Saturday, mate.
Yep.
What do you reckon to be going through her mind?
Well, like any St Kilda Richmond game, she'd hope for you to kick 10 and the Saints to have a win. She'd just be so proud that all this is being done in her name, and that potentially something that was really horrible that she had to experience and unfortunately claimed her life, that her legacy is one that is helping other people. She would just be so proud that is her legacy.